Hi everyone, I'm Natalia. Welcome to my channel. I wanted to share with you today my experience with Thoth deck over the years and what I have learned about the deck and what the deck um, has demonstrated to me over the years of working with this. All of you know this is I'd say this is my it deck, if there is such a thing. This is the deck that I go back to again and again. I always say if there's a fire in the house, and I'm running out, this is the only thing that I would probably grab. Not probably, but most likely will grab. And there's so much that Thoth stack offers that I have yet to uncover and discover as I go along. But one of the things that I learned about the stack over the course of many years working with this is that this is not just tarot deck. I learned that this is a reflective mirror. Of course, any other deck could be reflective mirror. I learned that this is also a very powerful magical tool, and I'll share with you more about that. In fact, when I travel, this is the only magical tool that I need at my disposal to perform and do any kind of even spell crafting, any kind of magical work, any kind of communication with the spirits type work. This is also a deck that is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful psychologist in of itself for anybody to work with. Like I said, this deck has so much to offer. This is a very interesting deck because it has so much symbolism embedded in it. And I did a video sharing ways to start learning the Thoth and how you can start learning and the three main pillars, starting to work with the Thoth, and you can check that video if you're interested in learning the Thoth. It's a very interesting deck. I'll never forget Lon Melody Cat in his class, and Thoth said that the ways that the color scales are chosen based on the Golden Dawn tradition and the ways that Lady Frida Harris painted them, including the way that she has imbibed the deck with sacred geometry and her very futuristic artwork. A person doesn't even have to know anything about the deck, anything about the meaning of the cards. And just by drawing a card and looking at the card without even titles, just looking and being able to receive the color combination with the retina of their eyes, they will have an internal feeling, almost an internal outline of a blueprint of what the card means. And I find that to be so powerful. And in fact, this is a deck that I have worked with a lot of my clients. I'm not tarot reading clients. I don't do tarot readings for clients, but in psychology, my individual clients that I work with, because pretty much all of my clients knows that I love tarot. So a lot of my clients will ask me to do a tarot reading for them. And over the course of my career, I had several clients who expressed interest in tarot and pick up those decks themselves and were able to pick it up and be able to just read with it, even on intuitive level. So when people say this is a complex deck, I very much, as you know me, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful starter deck. I don't think it's complex at all. I think everything is what you need is right there on the cards. What I learned about this deck over the course of working with it is that the more I work with it, the more the meanings are being revealed to me in twofold. On one way, the meanings are being revealed to the extent and the depths of their significance, their archetypal and symbolic and collective universal meaning. And the more I work with it, the more I also uncover my personal relationship, my inner personal subjective relationship to the archetypes. And when you do a reading and you combine the universal together with subjective personal for yourself, when you do the reading for yourself, it becomes a very powerful reading because things click like two pieces of puzzle that truly belong together. I learned over the course of the years that this deck will adhere to me, will really adapt its meanings, adapt its messages to the ways that makes most sense to me. What do I mean by that? Everybody, each one of us looks at images differently. Each one of us reads images differently. Some of us are more cerebral, some of us are more feeling oriented, some of us are more intuitive, some of us are more textile. Each one of us is different. I am very cerebral. So what I learned over the years is that this stack, it's almost as if the stack is made out of Play-Doh or clay. And the more we spend time together, the more it morphs and wraps itself around me. And the more it creates a mold of itself that fits me the best. I have 2 copies, well, I have multiple copies, but I have recently have separated, and this is my personal copy, only for my readings. I don't read this for anybody else. And the other copy that I have, I read for when my clients or my friends and family ask me to do a reading for them, I'll do that. So I think there's something very magical about this being able to morph to you as you work with this over the course of time. Of course, everything I'm saying about those, one can say, can easily be said about any other tarot deck. But I would beg to differ. I think not every deck created equally, not every deck. And I worked with a lot of decks over the course of years, and some, to me personally, left very little to have desired. They may have a structure of the tarot, and they may have the basic meanings, but there's some decks that have a level of depth and the level of personhood and the level of so many more other things. And this is one of those decks. I keep thinking about this way how this deck morphs to you as you work with this. I am having an image of Mercury for some reason. When I was little, we had one of those old glass thermostats that has mercury in it. I remember one time the thermostat broke and I was on the floor playing with mercury. I know it's not safe. It's probably no wonder I got cancer when I was 16. But I remember how it's really mesmerizing to play with mercury, actually. Don't do it. Not safe. Where one bubble goes into another and then they merge. And they merge in this very, very flowy and very magical way. And this is how I see this deck. This is that Mercury, and I am another piece of Mercury. And every time we work together, we merge in this way, and then we separate, and then we merge again, and then we separate. This deck, over the course of years, has when I'm most anxious, when I'm most worried, when I'm doing reading on something that really concerns and worries me, it will never give me an answer. It will always reflect back to me exactly how I feel, which over the years I became grateful for, because it tells me to pause and it tells me to sit with my anxieties and to first work through them before I can start thinking about any kind of clear course of action. What I mean when I say this deck is the only magical arsenal I need when I travel. Each card is a magical sigil. Each card is a magical plate that over the years I have learned to use in multitude of ways. Sometimes when my day is dragging, and when you're in mental health, sometimes every minute can feel like an hour, and it can be really frustrating. Or when I'm doing some other work and it feels like a complete drag and I just cannot wait for the day to go by, I will draw this card and I will put it in front of me on my desk. And this is magic. I'm asking, this is a sigil, this is a magical plate that I pull out of the deck because I want to manifest this in my day-to-day. And as a result, my day goes by swiftly. Try it. I promise you it works. One can say, of course it works, it's all psychological because you're thinking about them moving faster, it's your foot moves faster. Perhaps, who cares? I get the result I want. When I've been traveling this time and David and I've been looking into homes, and what I've been doing with this deck is I've been pulling the storyline I want to manifest, right? So, for example, it would be success, perhaps followed by gain, perhaps followed by wealth or victory. So I would pull out the cards as a magical sigil, as a way of creating a spell to ask the spirit to help me get what I want. This is why this is such a magical and powerful tool. You can travel with it and you don't need anything else. You can not only divine with it, but you can obviously also use this as magical sigils, and you don't even need to draw them. You don't need to, it's right there in the cards. What I noticed about this deck is it's such a wonderful and amazing psychologist because it will help you go deeper into yourself. Of course, again, any other tarot deck can do that too. But because of this Mercurian tendency to merge with you and to become one, it becomes an even better psychologist than any other deck because it gets to know you so well. And it helps you understand exactly that which you need to see. What I love about this deck is when you put it next to other decks, when you put it next to a deck such as Terror of the Vampires, that is also a very punchy, a very cerebral, very analytical voice, it will amplify the qualities of the other deck. So those and this together will become an even stronger cerebral analytical tool. When you put it together with a deck that is whimsical and fun, Thoth will become whimsical and fun because Thoth has a very big, sarcastic, wicked sense of humor. And I think this is Crowley in the deck for sure. So it's a very beautiful way to pair it with other decks because it will amplify whatever it is that the other deck brings, and it will pull it out of the Thoth. One of the other things that I noticed over the course of my years working with the Thoth deck is that this deck is very adaptable. It's very, to me, it feels as if it really doesn't mind if you want to trim it the way that I did, remove all the titles and everything else. It doesn't mind if you want to, in other words, it doesn't mind at all if you want to make it all. It actually prefers for you to make it as much its own as possible. It's a deck that really wants to form a relationship, form a bond. It really wants to be understood because it has so much depth to it. Think about the creators of this deck. Aleister Crowley was, one can easily say, very misunderstood individual. Later, Frieda Harris. I think there was a lot about her that was secretive, and I think there was a lot about her that was not known to a lot. I think she was not the person that easily opened up to the general public. So we have these two individuals that obviously have tremendous amount of depth, or this deck would not be as amazing as it is. And we have their personalities and energies in this deck as well. So imagine sitting down for a cup of coffee with these two individuals. It's not going to be as one single evening that's going to give you an understanding of them. It's going to be a lifetime affair. These are the sages that you go to. These are the sages you go to and you sit down with. And every time you sit down with, they offer a new level of wisdom. This is, to me, the beauty of this deck, is that type of wisdom sharing that it tends to offer. This deck loves to read for others. It loves to come, and it loves to boast and showcase its knowledge. It loves to be very clear, and it loves to tell people exactly how it is. For me, this deck has been a very strong reflection of how I see myself. I think that sometimes we see ourselves projected into decks, and I think that's just something that naturally tends to occur and naturally that tends to happen. This kind of self-projection that we see in the cards and the way the cards project ourselves back to us. I also found over the years interesting to observe and analyze why I am personally drawn to a particular deck. I notice some people are drawn to multiple decks. They can't say that one deck is the deck. They will say that multiple decks are the deck. And I find that interesting. Because for me, over the years, again and again and again, I go back to this. I have not that many decks, and I may have my top 5, but of top 5, this is still the it. And I think that's interesting. And I think that says a lot about me. It reflects back a lot about me as a personality. And I encourage you to look at your relationship with the deck, because everything offers us information and data about ourselves and who we are. Ever since I was little, and ever since I watched Silence of the Lambs, where Scully goes to a bug expert because they found this kind of most like bug inside a victim's mouth. And she goes to this bug experts and they tell her everything about it. Ever since I watched that, I wanted to be an expert only in one thing. I adored, and to this day, love people who know one thing, but they know it really, really well. So it's not surprising to find myself in a field of psychology solely focusing on transgender adults and nothing else. I don't see any other type of individuals with any other type of concerns or issues. Only transgender adults. I only work with people who struggle with gender dysphoria or gender identity issues. So it's not surprising, right? So in the same way, it's not surprising that I'm drawn only to one deck and want to get to know the deck tremendously well versus knowing a lot of other decks. Again, our tools around us, everything around me reflects the nature of who I am. And I encourage for you to take a look also at the decks you're drawn to, at what, God, I love this card, and what they say about you. If I could have a tattoo, this would be on my back, on my shoulder blade. This is my absolute favorite death card of all times. It's just absolutely magnificent. So this is what I gotta say about Zo's deck over the years and what it has taught me and brought to stable and what I learned about it. If you haven't picked up this deck and you're sitting on a fence, do it. This is a magnificent, magnificent deck. This is, it's more than just universe in your hands. I think it's more than the universe in your hands. I think this is, it's a key to everything. It's a key to everything. I love this deck. And I noticed that actually without the titles, this deck just loves being without the titles. It loves being without the borders. It loves being seen as a pictures, as its own individual painting. So that's what I gotta say about this deck. And let me know if you have been working with just this deck over the course of years. What have you noticed this Mercurian properties where it merges with you and becomes one? Gosh, I love that about this deck so much. And it just, as I've worked with this, it becomes more and more of that Mercurian nature. It's unbelievable how precise it is. It's scary how accurate it is. Sometimes it just really catapults me into bewilderment, how amazing it is. And how alive it is. And this is alive. This deck is alive. It's vibrating. It is, it, it does so much more than that. So let me know what your thoughts are, what you have learned about those over the years, and what it has taught you over the years. Bye.